Joe presents Liquid Football.
Hello, welcome to Liquid Football on Joe. It's the show that takes you inside the dressing room and puts you in the boots of the players. Joining me this week, Steve Sidwell and Stephen Warnock. So, because Stephen's here, we're going to start at Anfield, where Liverpool beat Everton by 1-0. But not only was it a below-strength Liverpool side, he made 9 changes, Jurgen Klopp, and 3 of the players hadn't even been born the last time that Everton won at Anfield. The goal scorer, 18-year-old Scouser, Curtis Jones. Listen, you can do what you want. But look, first of all, from a Liverpool perspective, how much... Don't start throwing the set around just because your team won.
That's his wallet.
Steady. How much will Liverpool fans have enjoyed that? Especially given the fact that they will have looked at that team sheet and thought, well, do you know what? Whatever happens. Nobody will have expected them to win that, will they?
No one at all. I think you'll always get people to say, oh yeah, we thought we'd give them a game and things like that. When they saw the team sheet come out, there's probably a lot of people thinking, I've spent good money on a ticket here. What am I going to see? Am I going to see the team get battered or beat heavily like they were against Aston Villa in the Carabao Cup? But it was just completely the opposite. I think the fans will have got more satisfaction going watching that than actually seeing the first team win, because it rubs salt in the wound a little bit more, doesn't it, for Everton players and Everton fans. I think Everton fans, when they saw the team sheet come out, thought, here we go, finally we can get a chance to win the game, and they were nowhere near it.
They were at the beginning. There were some chances that maybe they could have done better with Everton, and then it could have been a very different game. But given the opposition that they were up against, how will they be feeling?
They need to take a look at themselves, don't they, really? I mean, we've been in situations like that before, where you go into before the game, the team sheets come out and everyone sort of sees, like, is it the team that we've kind of been working on? It's like, no, there's a few changes, whereas that one there, Everton would have come back in and they would have gone, wow, like this is our, like, if someone would have said, oh, this would be a walk in the park, this would be easy.
Will they have said that?
Not near enough like that word for word, but they would have gone, well, this should be clear cut for us today. But it just goes to show you can't rest on your laurels.
I remember years back when I was coming through at Liverpool, I remember playing in a reserve game and we played Manchester City, and I was the only non-international player in the reserve team. We got beat 7-1.
Wow.
By Manchester City's youth team. And I remember, sat there in the changing room, I was looking around thinking, how many internationals are sat in this changing room and they've just been battered? And I think it's that mentality of
basically
going into the game.
Basically, you're saying it wasn't my fault, the rest of them were all internationals.
I can get away with that one. But no, you look around and you think, what was their mentality in the game? I can't be bothered playing here. Can't, going to beat these kids. It's going to be easy. I think it's a little bit different when you go into Anfield and you're playing in front of 55,000 fans and it's a derby and things like that. But even the senior players within the Everton team, well, all the team, they must have been looking at it thinking, like Siddy says, this will be easy. But then on the flip side of it, what if we get beat? And that's one of the things that you have to take into consideration. They'll be sat there thinking, if we get beat today, this isn't going to look good at all.
Yeah.
Well, especially with the transfer window coming up as well.
Yeah. Well, that's it. They could all be looking over their shoulder now. Ancelotti, the pedigree that he's got as a manager, he could be bringing in superstars, couldn't he, that would want to come and join him. I mean, it could be a blessing in disguise, this, for Everton come into the season, depending on where they are and what happens. They might look back on this. This could be a little
tell the fans that
kick up the back. Yeah, no, it could be. It could be a kick up the backside that some of them obviously need.
You could argue that there was a lot of frustration from Everton fans in the aftermath of that defeat, because they'll be looking at the players and think the very least we want from you in a derby is to show up. And for at the beginning of the game, that's certainly what they did, but it seemed to just kind of go away from them the longer it went on.
I think that's probably what the most disappointing thing is. You can accept the misses, Richarlison missing, and then obviously Holgate missing his opportunity as well, and you think that happens in a game. But when you're playing against kids, and let's not get away from the fact that they are young, inexperienced players, you should be able to out-battle them. They didn't. They got beaten up in midfield. I thought Chirivella dominated Sigurdsson all game. You're thinking, that's an Icelandic international player, bags of experience, £50 million player, and you've got a lad who's coming through the youth team who's 22 years old, bullying him. And that shouldn't happen in a derby. Especially when you go... One of the things you've got to do when you go to an away ground and you're playing in a derby is you have to physically outrun the team and outbattle them. And when Everton didn't do that against a young team who aren't physically as strong, I think you'd be disappointed. That's one of the things that'd really annoy me if I was a fan.
One of the other things that was noticeable from a Liverpool point of view was that the young players who came in, sort of they slotted in very neatly into that Liverpool style of play, and that's something obviously that is being put in place all the way through from like the youth systems right up and into the first team. But in terms of the personalities of those kids who are coming through, it's interesting to see how they react, because Curtis Jones, after he scored the winner, he came out and everybody's trying to get him to say, I'm really excited I've scored. And you got a little bit of that, but mostly he just kept saying, I'm so frustrated, I want to be playing more, this is what I do. It wasn't the big kind of,
it was a little bit subdued.
It wasn't the big Longstaff moment, for example, for Newcastle.
Yeah, and whether he's been told to be like that, or whether he's just got an old head on young shoulders, which it probably is the case from what you're hearing behind the scenes. But testament to him, he's obviously not getting above his station. He's just scored an absolute weldy of a goal, and what a goal it was to win the game. And he's come out afterwards and he's acknowledged it, but he said, "I want more. I'm disappointed when I'm not playing, considering the squad that's above him and who's in his position, and when he's not on the bench, and when he's on the bench he wants to get minutes, and then he's left out the week after. I mean, brilliant characteristic from me.
I think sometimes as well, it's like you look at the mentality and how it switched around Liverpool now. So like when Liverpool won the Super Cup, then he won the World Club Cup or Club World Cup, Jordan Henderson straight away was like, right, that's done, next one. That's done, next one. And it's almost like he's took that as well, gone, okay, I've scored a good goal, but now I want to play. I want to play more regular. I think there's another side where you go, you're 18 years old and you're world champions, you're going for the Premier League title, you're playing in one of the best, well, what we're talking about as being one of the best teams that have ever played in the Premier League. But ambition, isn't it?
Brilliant. Considering that team and that squad can dominate.
What would you do if you come in the changing room after that, though, and you were like, so whose place are you taking?
There must have been a bit of banter flying around after. Lallana and a few of them lads in there. I don't know about Millie. Millie would have been a little bit dry on the...
He'd hammered him.
Yeah, he would have come in now, and there would have been a few shouts within there at him. But they just seem like they're just taking their stride, don't they? Liverpool as a club, the senior players, the youngsters that are coming in, as you said there, it just seamlessly all just fits in with one another at the moment.
I like that though, because the characters in the dressing room. You've got a young 18-year-old coming in saying, I want to be starting more regularly.
Oh yeah.
But whose place is he taking then?
It's the big question, isn't it? And that's the pressure he's put on himself now as well. It's all right saying it, now you've got to back it up week in, week out. If you get that opportunity to play and you don't have a good game, the manager will always go back to that interview and said, well, hang about, you said you should be playing, so now go and back it up. So he's put a little bit of pressure on himself, but I think he likes that. I think he likes that challenge.
How do senior players in general sort of treat the younger players who are coming through? Because we were sort of past the era of the school of hard knocks now, aren't we? It's those young players who are coming in who are part of training. You've both done it.
Yeah.
You've both been there and been through that position.
Yeah, I mean, school of hard knocks. We've had that, haven't we?
We've got HR now.
Literally on the away bus. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I mean, back in the day on the away bus, making teas, coffees. I mean, them days are literally long gone.
Yeah.
Your youngsters that haven't really got to earn their stripes that are thrown in the mix. But it's kind of the same. It comes down to personalities, doesn't it? You got some senior pros or older pros that just want to play and they just care about themselves and fixate on the individual, whereas other personalities will be more open to people, even if it is in their own position. I remember coming through at Arsenal, and the first time I actually trained with the first team, there must have been an injury, and then Pat Rice ran over or hobbled over and then come and got me from the reserve team pitch, and as I was running over, he said, right, you're going to be training with the first team, come on, we were warmed up. So as I got over there...
What was that like, though, being told that?
Well, that run from that pitch to 2 pitches along, but there was a big mound in between, so you couldn't see. It obviously only lasted like a minute. It felt like it lasted like an hour, honestly. And you're just thinking straight away, there's so many thoughts going through your head. And this is obviously when they was in their heyday as well. And I ran over and Ricey gave me a bib and looked up, and obviously he had like Vieira, Henry, Perez, and Tony Adams was on my team. So Big Tone went, "I've heard a lot about you, kid." He said, "Don't fuck it up." The first thing he says, I was like, shit, what am I doing? But like they was brilliant. Like they was really good. Like all the lads there at Arsenal was superb. And then once you get into it, they kind of know your personality. And then a few weeks after that, I was kind of training with them then. And there was a game, and I think it was a build up to Man United, which obviously back then was huge. And it was lashing down with rain. We'd done a bit of 11v11, and I've put a tackle on. I've slid in and caught Vieira. Not caught him. I've got the ball when he's gone over me, and all the lads have gone, oi, hold up. And I just remember him getting up and literally getting me by the back scruff of my neck and just picking me up, giving me a pat, and then just giving me a wink as well to say, I like that.
That's good. Yeah.
But yeah, if you've got senior pros that you look up to and you've watched as a youth team player that take you in their open arms as well, it makes you feel straight away part of the first team. It sort of eases the pathway as such. You might have had the same thing when you was coming through at Liverpool.
Mine was different though, because our academy was separate, so it was completely different. So you couldn't have that ability to go, right, we've got an injured player, drag someone up. We were 10 miles
sites?
away.
Oh, completely different sites.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So that was one of the big issues we had, was trying to impress the first team. So when you went up to the first team, no one knew you. No one had a clue they might have known your name, and they'd heard that someone's doing well in the academy. But then to actually come up and they've gone, don't know your strengths, don't know where you play, don't know what your weaknesses are, don't know your personality. And that was one of the big problems we had at Liverpool at the time. And now there's sort of I wouldn't say it's a structure in place, but a lot of the young lads who played last night in the Everton game, they're up there full time now. And it's sort of, they train, or we used to anyway, used to train away from the first team. It probably took about 3 years to get to that point of being in and around it. And then you might get called across if you were lucky. Wow. But now that Liverpool had changed the training ground, they're moving to the academy site and everyone's on site. I think you will notice a difference because the first team players have to know the young lads. The only reason I knew a lot of the first team players was because I did my work experience at Liverpool. So when I was in school, I went and did my work experience there. So I was cleaning boots and things like that, and that was when I got to know them.
Were you in the academy then?
No, I was in school.
You were just in school. You weren't training with them at all.
No, and then I went up and trained with the first team and my 2 weeks off, and it was the best thing ever. I was thinking, how good's this? I'm cleaning boots, and I'd play every now and again in a little five-a-side because Roy Evans was manager then. So every Friday it used to be, they'd bring up the academy, or it was a little bit different. The academy wasn't built then, so they had A and B team and they trained separately. First team would train every Friday. It'd be young v old, mix it all up as well, and have a five-a-side. So I used to play in the five-a-sides. It was great.
So you never really got an official call up to come and train with the first team then?
No, not really.
You were just sort of...
No, so when the other thing I did as well, I was unfortunate in that I broke my leg a few times when I was younger. So from the age of 15 to 19, I was in the academy, but then when I broke my leg the second time, they said, right, we need a change of sort of environment for you. So you're going to do a week on, a week off at the first team and the academy. So I'd go up with the first team and I'd train with like Jamie Redknapp, who was injured at the time. Stevie G was injured. So I'd train with the physios there and I'd train with them too and do my rehab with them too, just for a change of scenery. So that's how I got to know Jamie, and I knew Stevie anyway, but that's how I got to know Jamie quite well, was because I was training with him, trying to get back fit.
That's interesting. And so then you go in, it's a completely different situation. There isn't that sort of, right, there's a new kid in town now. Yeah. We're going to have to either not teach him a lesson, but kind of just let him know the lay of the land and sort him out.
It's always over a gradual period, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's never sort of, right, you're out of that dressing room, you're in this one now, you go up, you train, you come back, you might go up, train a couple of times, be involved with in and around a game, go back, be like, it sort of keeps you grounded, and then you'll sort of, eventually when you are training there, that's when you earn your stripes, and then it's right, you've got a locker now in the first team. So then when that happens, then you feel
what happens when you get a locker?
You're scared. You're still scared.
But how do you find out? Is it that pre-season or what happens?
Mine was pre-season.
Yeah.
I remember walking in and they said, right, there's your squad number. And I was sat next to like one of my favourite players ever, Jari Litmanen.
Wow.
I just remember thinking, this is all right, isn't it? Yeah. I remember like sat there and ringing my mates when I got home, locker next to Jari Litmanen, haven't I? It was brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant.
That's what it's all about. I mean, if you don't get them butterflies when you're coming through, you've got a problem, I think. If you're arrogant about it and think, I belong here, there's got to be an element of that.
Yeah.
But the first team will sense that straight away and think...
I think that's where it's flipped nowadays, isn't it? It's more that they've got that arrogance, which is brilliant, and you need that now, especially in this modern day game. But you still, as you said, they've hit the nail on the head, that nerves and that little bit of sort of anxiety, anxiousness, it's brilliant to have that, because that, for me, makes you perform as well.
Yeah.
Even more so than talent.
Who was your locker next to? Your first one?
Do you know what? I actually didn't really get a confirmed locker at Arsenal.
You had a floating locker?
Yeah,
Hot locker.
I was in and out. I was floating, and then
you're in the cleaning cupboard, weren't you?
Probably the season that I would have got a locker, I went on loan. They pushed me on loan, and I'd done 2 loan spells. I'd done a loan spell at Brentford, and then come back, and then that's when I thought I was going to go in, and then I went to Beveren, which was their feeder club out in Belgium, and 4 of us went out. And Yaya Toure was actually in Beveren then playing, because they obviously thought they was going to acquire his services. So, and then from then on, I didn't go back to Arsenal. From there, I went to Brighton on loan, and then eventually signed for Reading. So, yeah, it was. I remember as a youngster the worst thing was popping your head into that first team dressing room. You had to get the dirty kit or.
Is it a bit like going into the staff room at school?
Exactly like that. Yeah. It is, because you shouldn't be in there. It's like one of them.
It's one of them as well. When you walk in, when you get up in the morning, you're thinking, "What am I going to wear? I've got to wear something good here." Walk in. If you wear the wrong thing, straight away gets hanged up.
Yeah.
And you're just thinking, "What have I done here?"
Ceiling,
Not nice.
So you're trying to fit in and stand out at the same time.
Yeah.
You're trying to make an impression. When you look at some of the young players coming through, there's a real difference. I mean, Jurgen Klopp said about Curtis Jones, he will, unless something bizarre happens, he will 100% become a Liverpool first team player and a regular. You've got players like him, you've got Ryan Brewster, a lot said about him. Harvey Elliott, who's only 16, but a lot of chat about him. Quieter game in the derby than we've maybe seen from him. But for those players, is it worth staying to learn from the senior pros around you and to be part of the setup? Or do you take that risk and go out on loan? As you know, it's rumoured that Ryan Brewster's meant to be going off to Swansea, for example. How do you even come to making that decision?
Well, I'm a massive believer of the loan system. It worked wonders for me. It brings you on as a person, as a player, looking after yourself, being in the big world. And the earlier that you can be exposed to that, the better. I mean, I done it when I was 18. And you've got players now that are probably, 21, 22, 23 that are still playing these under-23s or Premier League 2 league and not competitive enough. And they're missing out on 4 or 5 years where they could literally have got over 100 league games under their belt. But when you do go on loan, it has to be to the right club. And I think when you say there, players that they sort of earmark that could be ones for the future, it's sort of their loan spell is kind of manufactured to a club that would kind of play similar to Liverpool or a position that's really suited to that player, whereas other ones that they could probably think, right, well, we'll just get him out, get a bit of exposure that could be a bit of income for the club. They're the ones that just could go anywhere.
What do you think?
I just think it depends on the personality of the player. It's like me and Steve, if we were to go into a club now and they looked at us from a physical point of view and they said, right, you need to strengthen certain parts of your body, but you need to do something else. So you get given an individual programme. I think every player is an individual as well, and you've got to treat them differently. Some will need that going out on loan. I needed to go out on loan because I've missed 3-4 years of football, and I was never going to get that back playing reserve team football. It wasn't good enough, it wasn't competitive enough, it wasn't a challenge. I also needed to move away from being in Liverpool and that challenge of living away and growing up quicker. And I remember going into Bradford and they'd just come out of administration, and I'm walking into the changing room and there's like lads who've not been paid, there's lads fighting to stay within the Championship, and they've just come down
first loan, first loan spell. Wow.
And you're thinking, I'm not used to this is completely different. I was going down to a training pitch, there was dogs walking across the pitch.
I thought you were saying something else there.
Sheffield United chose to do that at Stanley Park, didn't they?
You're walking onto a training pitch and you think, like, this is terrible, the conditions were poor, but then at the end of the day you still go to a Saturday and you've got to run out on that pitch and perform, and if you don't, there was lads had each other up against the wall. I wasn't used to that. Used to that in the under-23s or the reserve team football.
But you'll have players who need their bonuses to pay their mortgages because they haven't paid. They've got
and that was something to me where I was thinking, I didn't realise how lucky I was being at Liverpool. and then I had that spell, and I got injured on that spell, and then I went to Coventry for a year. And again, it's where you pick the club. So Gary McAllister was manager, knew him from Liverpool, suited me, he knew what type of player I was. Went there, had a good year, and my confidence just went sky high. Got fit, met the right fitness trainer at Coventry who got me in the best shape I've been in. And suddenly I came back and everyone was like, God, you've changed. Physique had changed everything, mentality, going in there. And then go on pre-season tour, and then you're playing in the first team. That suited my personality, it suited me. But there was other players who could have just gone straight into the first team, like Stevie G.
Yeah.
He was destined not to go on loan. It was, no, he's good enough to put in now. Some people need that little bit more development and toughening up as well.
Yeah, it's interesting how you have to pick the right path for people, and you're just trying to predict their future all the time and make sure that they're doing the right thing.
Yep.
Carlo Ancelotti, as we were talking about earlier, might be looking at freshening up his squad in January. Could be a few players that he'll have learned about from that defeat that might be on their way out. Certainly, if not in January, then in the summer. Potentially could be players coming into Everton in January or in the summer. But it's not just about Carlo Ancelotti and this group of players. That run of Everton's at Anfield is just ridiculous, because at times during that Everton have had better teams than Liverpool within the last 20 years. That it's a derby and the whole sort of form goes out the window cliche. But they've maybe had more battling performances, and they still haven't managed to get that win. And it starts to become something maybe that's in the players' heads as much as anything, even though it's covering from one end to the other probably 2 generations now, if not more.
Yeah, I mean, you'll know more about it being up there, a local lad, than me. But I mean, you're right. It becomes like a hoodoo, doesn't it? It's, before you've even had the build up for the week, people are talking about it the week before. Oh, we've got Liverpool coming up next week. Oh my God, is this going to be the one? Is it going to be? What's our team going to be? Are we going to be able to get through this? Blah blah blah. But the quicker it gets squashed. He won't like me saying
Don't say that. Kevin Campbell will be furious with you. He gets a gig. Well, Kev does well anyway, but every derby he's coming out the last player to score the winning goal for Everton at Anfield. Kev will be just thinking, don't win again, I'm in. So, no, it's one of them where you look at it and you just go, the fans are negative going into the game because they feel it as well. They're thinking... But there's no atmosphere from them, but there's a negativity leading up to the game, and the players are reading it constantly in the press. No, it's at Anfield.
No, I'm just saying, the records. The records only at Anfield.
Yeah, but you look at that and you think, I mean, I don't know, it's just, there's got to be something that the players are reading into. I'd never read into that because I just think, well, that's in the past. Yeah. We'll change that.
It's to be broken, isn't it?
You part of the team when we went to United with Aston Villa, weren't we? We hadn't won there for 26 years. I didn't think of that before I played the game. I was thinking, we'll win this game because we had a good team. Yeah. And we went there and won. And it wasn't like... I remember coming off the pitch and I hadn't read anything about it before. It was more after. And I was thinking, it wouldn't have mattered in my head anyway. I don't get why players buy into it as much.
It might well be the missed chances one, it's a derby. 2, the missed chances in the first half in particular, and then Liverpool scoring the way that they did with a brilliant goal from Curtis Jones on 70 minutes. At that stage, that might be when it starts to get into the Everton players' heads, where they go, really, we're up against like a. What maybe not second string, maybe not third string, maybe somewhere in between for.
No, you were right. And they could have gone third or fourth.
Yeah.
It could listen. That statement could have been brought up before the game as well.
Yeah.
In the dressing room, look, boys, we've got a great chance to obviously put this to bed. Whether that's played a part or not, but 9 times out of 10 players, they just focus on the game. It's all that is all for the fans. But a player that very rarely is a player do I know that goes to a stadium thinking, oh, I've not scored here or I've not won here. That's just, it's all in the past, and you're just looking to put things right and just play well on the game. And then even when you break a record, you never talk about it after. Like the Villa one, for instance, we never spoke about it when we beat United or the week after or the day after. It was just forgotten about.
Yeah.
So,
obviously, no issue with atmosphere at a derby game. If Liverpool and Everton draw each other in an FA Cup third round tie, that's not going to be an issue. But every time the FA Cup comes around and every time we asked, has it lost its sparkle? Are players still bothered about it? Lots of weakened teams, or lots of much changed teams. 132 team changes made by the 19 Premier League sides. Some of the grounds had lots of empty seats for this one. The Premier League and Championship sides saw a combined drop of more than 150,000 compared to their previous home games. Do players care about the FA Cup? Did you?
I did. I know Steve did as well. I think it just. I think we're a bit more of an older generation, aren't we? Like an older school.
Only
kind
just
of.
though.
Yeah, but I think it's only just.
Yeah.
But I think that's all it takes. Only just.
Yeah.
I think the ones that are coming through now. I mean, even the youngsters that are coming through now, they're probably dads, if they've got obviously family, they'll say, oh, this is brilliant, but they won't really grasp it. I remember FA Cup final day, started at like 8 o'clock in the morning.
They used to travel in on the buses with the
wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it was like the prestige in that is still there for me. It is. They just need, I don't know how, but they just need to get this little bit of magic back there, because there are games that just show it.
But I think some of the games were brilliant.
Yeah.
And some of the games did have that sparkle. Maybe we remember it differently. Because if you draw somebody who's maybe not doing very well in the division below you, it's not a glamour tie, and neither is it a glamour tie or a real giant killing thing. It's just two slightly mismatched teams.
Yeah.
And so maybe we only remember the huge occasions. Maybe only remember like the Wrexham win against Arsenal or something.
I mean, the big thing for me growing up, my first memory of football in general was the 89 Cup final between Liverpool and Everton. And that was my first thing. So I always wanted to win the FA Cup, always wanted to play in it. That was a big thing for me growing up. I think one of the issues now is, from a fan's point of view, it's straight after Christmas. You've had Boxing Day, so the 28th, then New Year's
It's always
Day.
been after Christmas.
No, I know, but it's getting more expensive, football, to watch it. So to take a family or to go and take your son or daughter to the game, it's an expensive occasion.
Yeah.
Then they want to go in the club shop, they want to spend a lot of money, even though it's just been Christmas. But with the fixture congestion in and around Christmas and New Year, the FA Cup needs shifting back. Whether it goes into February and we condense it in a way of doing that, and then you're taking away from replays and you're stopping the lesser clubs getting money, aren't you? But everyone gets around this time and goes, well, we've just played 3 games in a week or 9 days. We can't afford to play our players because they're going to get injured. And you only have to look at the injury record from this weekend to see it and go, players aren't going to get risked. There's no chance. Like Harry Kane.
What we need are real entertaining characters around the FA Cup, and we need Jose Mourinho to come out and say things like, we couldn't really play with that because the ball was like a beach ball out there. Now everybody, right, one, it's a distraction technique, clearly, because that's what Jose Mourinho does, so we don't talk about his team's performance. 2, it's what Jose does anyway. But what I didn't realise was it's also a genuine concern.
Yeah.
It makes a difference.
There is an element of truth, isn't there? We were speaking earlier. You know, if there is literally one ball for the Championship, which is completely different to the Premier League, it's completely different to the Champions League. So the ball that is used in the FA Cup, which is near enough the Championship kind of ball, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mitre ball. When you catch that, it is completely different to the Premier League ball. But when you do catch it, it just goes. But it's quite light. It's quite airy. So, but the thing to that is, every team does use a batch of them balls for training with a build up to that game. So whether they've got 2 days to prepare or a week to prepare, they will be using that set of FA Cup balls for that game. So they will be used to it, but there is an element of that.
But do you have a preference then?
Yeah, I prefer the Premier League ball, the night ball. I think you get a better feel for it. It's more of a leather ball, whereas the mitre one's got it's almost like a rubber feel to it. It's quite soft on the outside, so you don't really get it's not as true a strike off the ball. And then the Champions League one, the Adidas one, is very, very light. And you think of like free kicks and long range shots that they're having with that. The ball moves, and you think back to the World Cup in South Africa.
The Jabulani. That's the first time that the ball became a star.
But it does. It shifts through the air, and it's a nightmare for goalkeepers. And I think that you do notice it when you play with it on a consistent basis.
Yeah. And as a player as well, it does play with tricks with your mind, because you are using a different kind of weighted ball or whether it's the same weight, but it is different. But you're thinking, right, I need to kick this one harder or take a little bit off, or there's a bit more spin on this one. They are different.
How big a difference is it? I mean, I don't play, so what? Like, would I notice the difference? Or is it
I think you would over time.
Everyone,
I think you'd notice over time the difference.
Well, you can imagine if you're playing for a Premier League ball week in, week out, season in, season out, and you're a season pro in the Premier League, and all of a sudden you're using an FA Cup ball every now and again, you will notice a difference.
It's like using a different tennis ball, isn't it? If you're playing tennis and you get a different pressure within the tennis ball, why do they get rid of that ball? It's not right. They don't get the same feel for it. You see tennis players moan about it, don't you? Golf balls, use different type of golf balls for different spin, different speeds on the trajectory and things like that. So there's a reason people prefer a certain type of ball, and I think the football's the same.
Oh, see, I didn't.
See, I think as well, stay on the balls.
Again.
I think that there's a different. There's a difference in the the yellow ball and the white ball for me.
Different colour, mate.
I know that. Did you not find that?
A little bit. Yeah.
See, I found that they're different as well.
Yeah.
And it's just the colour that's. Is this thing about white boots making you run faster?
No,
is this the same as this?
When you get to 30 and above, get the white boots on. Give you an extra yard.
We need to look into this. Rocket, you need to do some homework on this. I think the yellow ball is different to.
I think it's a different weight.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think it is.
Yeah.
I'm putting my neck on the line. I kicked it for so long, I should know.
Right, it is time for the Liquid Football Challenge. This week, we're sending the guys out to learn to cut hair. Take it away, Jimmy.
Thanks, Kelly. Gents, welcome to Klopp's Barbers in Farringdon. Have you cut anyone's hair before? No. Right. Well, good luck. It's time to meet our brave models.
Hey, I'm JP, I'm a West Ham fan, and I don't know what I've let myself in for.
Hi, I'm Ruben, I'm a Crystal Palace fan. I don't know why I volunteered to let them cut my hair, but hopefully they don't mess it up too badly.
Okay, Rubes, thanks for being my model. You ready for this?
Yep, if you're ready, I am.
Yeah, well, I'm ready, mate. I'm confident.
JP, how are you, pal? You okay?
Yeah, good, thanks. You?
Yeah, very well. Don't be nervous, pal. I'll take you from looking from a 3 to a 7 in no time. You ready to go?
Fully.
How are you getting on there, Siddy?
Oh, I'm flying like a bird with no wings.
Are you getting any tips or blending it in a little bit more?
Yeah, it's looking good. It's looking okay.
Siddy, what are you doing?
I finished.
I think you might need to slow down a little bit.
I feel like you're just doing the same thing now. Not cutting hair.
No, you look well, mate.
Do you want me to start round the back first?
Up to you, mate.
I'm going down like that, aren't I? That is the straightest line I've ever seen.
How would you like your neck?
Not cut.
Yeah, I'm less nervous than I was. I think he's got the hang of it pretty quickly. But I've brought a hat to work, but hopefully I don't need it.
I mean, yeah, say nothing.
That there, mate. Honestly, that is unbelievable.
Here we go.
Trim's actually going not the worst at the moment. Like, I've had worse trims, but still.
Have you? Fucking hell.
Warner, you're holding the scissors all wrong, mate.
Let's have a look then. What
Look,
should
you
I
need
be
to do
doing?
this. Watch. You need to just get it and just.
That's definitely not a straight cut.
It is. Look at that.
Right, gents, last 30 seconds.
Last 30 seconds?
Yep.
Bloody hell. Right, let's get on this side then.
Yeah, don't do anything drastic.
A little bit off your fringe. I know you don't want to, but it's the final bit.
Right, gents, time's up.
Final outcome, UK. Nervous?
A little bit, yeah. Not as bad as I was fearing, but it's not great.
Want to see the end result?
Let's go, Fenrir.
What do you mean?
I know, that's quality.
Yeah, that's what I thought you said.
No, yeah.
I said I'd take you from a 4 to a 7. I think I've took you from a 4 to a 3. Happy?
Mate, overjoyed.
Yeah.
Overjoyed.
I can't ask for much more, Siddy.
Right, gents, congratulations. That was the end of the challenge. I must say, both did well, but obviously there's only one winner. I must say that, Siddy, yours, mate, not a lot of hair came off. I think you literally probably just went around a few times, but I still like the undercut.
That's
I
what
must
the
say.
customer wanted.
Stephen, with yours, I must say, it's out of balance, but I like the way you use a detailer, You left a bit of hair on there on the side and the patches there.
Yeah.
But I did like your technique. I did like your customer service and all of that. And I must say, Stephen, you're the winner.
Thank you very much.
Mate. Well done.
Well done,
to all.
partner. We give it a go, mate. Well done, you.
Right decision. Yeah.
This is Liquid Football on Joe. I'm Kelly Cates alongside Steve Sidwell and Stephen Warnock. If you like what you see and hear, then please leave a nice review on iTunes or YouTube. Make sure you check out Joe's other shows as well, including TKO with Carl Frampton and House of Rugby with James Haskell, which returns tomorrow because neither of them were working over Christmas, but we were. Dominic Solanke scored the final goal in Bournemouth's 4-0 win over Luton. But the significance of it is that it's his first goal for the club since he joined exactly a year ago. It's taken a long time for him to settle, and he wasn't at the peak of his form before the move either. And the players look genuinely thrilled for him. They look genuinely happy to see him get over that. How important are your teammates in a situation like that? Whether if you've ever been on either side of it.
Yeah. Well, first of all, it goes to show that you must be a popular figure amongst obviously his peers, because
also that they're aware of it. I mean,
they are.
If it had been maybe like a couple of months, they might not be. But a year, you have to notice.
And there's probably chances more so for strikers as well when they're through on goal. I mean, I've done it before when someone's through on goal, you're going, please score, just get this one in, please, and it doesn't. You go, oh. But I mean, I think Handbash as well had one for Brighton, didn't he? He had a time, and then he's obviously got two in 2 games. So. But yeah, for strikers more so, you're just thinking, please get it over the line, and that it just goes. The longer it goes on, the worse it gets for everyone as well. But when that the duck is broken and everyone celebrates, it's like a huge weight off everyone's shoulders.
It's different
because you're all carrying it.
Yeah, exactly, and it's been waiting so long for that. Peter Crouch had that run when he first joined Liverpool, but it didn't feel like there was quite so much pressure on him.
No, I think Crouchy wasn't sort of a 30-man a season goal scorer, but he was sort of he got away with it because of his link-up play and how good he was in and around the box, plus his personality. You've got a personality like that, he would have been hurting on the inside but wouldn't have shown it. But I played in the game against Wigan when he scored the 2 goals, and you can see from the celebrations what it meant to the lads, because again, popular figure within the changing room. I think Solanke, he obviously looks the same as well. But you feel for the lads when they're like that. I think the difference now is as well with social media, with the media, the way it's so much stronger than it was a few years ago. You think of Almiron when he was at Newcastle, like the pressure that was put on him because of the figure that's being paid for him. But Solanke's cost 20 million quid.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, £20 million, you should be scoring a few goals. So there's big pressure on him to do that, and Bournemouth not doing well as well becomes even more pressure.
But you just kind of hope that they get that strikers thing where one goes in, and then just it's turned around for Almiron, hasn't it?
Exactly that, and that's all it takes. Whether it's going to be an absolute worldie in the top corner or one off the backside, anything's welcome. But the celebrations always come back to the personality, but more so how that player dedicates himself day in, day out, because he's probably going in, grafting his nuts off, and probably scoring goals in training, but he's just not getting the rub of the green on the other side. So. Yeah, hopefully there's more to come from him now. He's a great player, Solanke.
Also, it's been a big week for Tom Pope, the Port Vale striker, because having said what he said about John Stones on social media, he did, even though they lost 4-1, he did score against Manchester City. I mean, John Stones will say it was nothing really to do with him, which is entirely fair. Yeah. But only Alexander Zinchenko would swap shirts with him after that City win. But that's understandable, isn't it? I mean, did he go around them all expecting them to go, oh, he's a great lad, he's had a go at one of my teammates, but we really like him? That's just not going to happen.
Apart from Mendy, that's just got his arm around him and just
Mendy wanted the selfies,
with me.
Get yourself in there.
And he said afterwards, didn't he, Tom Pope, he said, he wouldn't speak to me, John Stones. Yeah. And you think, well, of course he wouldn't. Like, you can't expect.
He's out with him publicly, isn't he?
Yeah.
In a way, there's professionalism, isn't there? There's fine lines of crossing that, but on the other side, it's a personality in football that you need. And footballers now are so much robots, can't do this, can't do that. It's nice to see someone a little bit fresh, say it how it is. after the game, hold his hands up and respect it. But
no, after the game, he didn't hold his hands up and respect it. After the game, he tweeted, "I said 40, I meant 50."
Well, after the game, he respected it. Then he got on the bus and was like, "No, I'm going to go for it again." My 15 minutes is going to go into 2 days of fame.
But that's the thing, is that you've got a player there. They're genuinely quite well. The first one wasn't intended to be funny, but it was funny as soon as they drew Manchester City. And then the second one is a joke. It's a sharp joke, but it's still quite funny.
Yeah,
but equally, you can understand why the City players, by and large, are not having it. Yeah, they're standing up for their teammate.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, we do it now as pundits, where we'll sit there and say something tongue-in-cheek, sort of like, "Oh, he's not very good, him," or "I could have scored that," or whatever. But to actually put it in writing and send it out onto Twitter, I think you're being a brave boy doing that. I think, like Siddy said, he's looking for his moment of fame, isn't he, and trying to get himself a few extra followers. But you can't expect the Man City players to all go, "Oh yeah, great lad, and you come and here's a shirt for you." I think there'll have been a few players thinking, "We'll get the shirt and we'll bring it out at a later date for John Stones to wind him up." But
I bet of all the shirts, no disrespect to Zinchenko, but of all the shirts there to get, he's got a Zinchenko.
Oh, that's shocking.
He probably.
See, you've just done it there.
Zinchenko.
Well, imagine what Zinchenko thinks of you now.
When
Siddy turns up. Until Siddy turns up at the Etihad.
I don't think Zinchenko knew what he was asking for. He just agreed to it.
Wait until that goes on a tweet.
Alexander Zinchenko shirt now framed, taking pride of place in Tom Pope's house. That's what's going to happen.
I doubt it very much for Pope.
I tell you what, you've done it again. You've doubled down again.
You're ruthless.
He wouldn't do that.
You're worse than Tom Pope.
Whose shirts have you got? Have you got anybody's shirts at home?
Oh yeah, I've got a few. I've got a few. Obviously, the Henry, Bergkamp.
Did you just pinch them?
No,
Is that when you said you weren't cleaning boots? And what we really do is go on the first team dressing room.
Henry, Bergkamp, John Terry, Paul Scholes, Roy Keane, Ronaldo's, Joe Cole, Ryan Giggs, Lampard.
Wow.
Yeah, Ronald De Boer when he was...
Any more? How long have we got?
There's a few.
Do you have them up?
They're all up, yeah. Yeah, they're all up. Yeah, so... to be fair, they're all up out of the way because the wife wasn't. She was like, "You need to get these upstairs, like in the room."
My house too. Yeah,
exactly that.
What about you? Have you got?
I've got a few. Yeah. I always look to players that I've played with and then end up playing against them in the future. But the one I really wanted was Ashley Coles. I just thought he was the best left back in world football and sat behind him for long enough at England. I thought, yeah, why not? So, I've got like his, Beckham's, Ibrahimovic. So,
how do you do it? Like at the end of a game, is it weird if it's a mate? Like, do you, or if
it's easier with a mate?
Yeah,
is it?
Yeah.
But if it's a stranger, what do you do?
I think it's changed now because it used to be on the pitch, didn't it?
Yeah,
it used to be literally a final whistle, and sometimes you used to try and
during
mark
the game.
Them. when you do it, it's like the 92nd minute. You go, man, Mark Giggsy for a bit.
Why are you over there? Back in here?
Yeah, done it a few times. But now it's done down the tunnel, isn't it? They keep them on. They just you swap them down the tunnels. But yeah, it's. I remember when I was at Chelsea, we played LA Galaxy, and it was Beckham's first game for LA Galaxy, and I didn't ask him for his shirt, by the way, but one of the lads did.
Undies.
One of the lads did ask him for his shirt, and he was like, "No, I can't. It's my first Galaxy appearance." So, but yeah, you just go out there and just ask. Most times.
Has anyone ever said no?
Well, no, most times, some people, if they say no, it's because they've already promised it to someone else. Like someone's asked them at half time,
or it's like with Beckham, it's the first one.
Or 30 minutes into the game, someone's gone, "Can I have a shirt after the game?" Like, they've got in their early doors.
Yeah. I remember, I think I told it on the show last time I was on, when I was saying at the World Cup, I went and got a Beckham shirt because he was a coach on the team, and I had to go knock on his door. "Hi David, she signed that to me." He was like, "Yeah, sounds." But you do get that bit
for your
like,
name?
yeah. Who do you want it signed to? To me. Yeah.
They're nice. They're nice mementos to have. I'll give a few to my brother as well. So they're nice to give to people. So
That's it for this episode of Liquid Football on Joe. Thanks to Steve Sidwell and to Stephen Warnock. We are available every Monday. You can download the podcast or you can watch us on YouTube. Please leave us a nice review on iTunes or on YouTube if you like what you hear. And if you want to join the Facebook group, just search for Liquid Football and you can join in the chat there. Don't forget you can check out our other shows as well, House of Rugby with James Haskell and TKO with Carl Frampton. Thanks for listening.
You've been watching Liquid Football on Joe.